Good evening, everybody. Should be live here. Apologize for the wrong thumbnail, but I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma alongside Ryan. Say hi, Ryan.
Good evening, everybody.
We are Michigan Storm Chasers here on this Friday evening, March 28th. It's currently 7:07 p.m. Make sure your clocks are lined up with what we're seeing here. First off, System 1 is completely ongoing already here. We had a bunch of hail reports come in across the UP already today. No severe thunderstorm warnings yet. Ice storm warnings currently in effect for pretty much the entirety of the UP, minus the western UP right now. And again, looking at your current radar right now, you can see a lot of that rain is starting to change over to freezing rain, indicated by those pinks there. But we are going to go into some of the models from the when they came out today, I guess you could say. Ryan, do you want me to take your screen? Do you have anything queued up?
I can if you want me to.
Okay. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go ahead and pull up our severe risks from today. So this is going to require me to change my window capture to Facebook, which is right there. Perfect. Give it a second here. It should pop in. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Insert Jeopardy music.
Yeah, honestly. There we go.
There we go.
Full screen it here so you guys can see it in all of its glory. And we're probably taking up the entire screen, so I'm actually going to have to unfull screen it and turn off the bottom banner. But this is our current severe weather outlook for your day on Sunday. Just released about a half hour ago here at Michigan Storm Chasers on Facebook. We have an elevated risk in place for portions of the southern rows of counties here. So that's going to be Berrien, Cass, St. Joseph, Branch, Hillsdale, and portions of Monroe County. Again, this is in effect from Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. through around Monday, just after midnight, is when that action is supposed to completely leave the state. This also translates over to a bunch of different risks. So this is the overall risk. The further north you go, obviously, the lower the risk is going to be. So this is level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1. We also have a hatched zone down here for significant severe, which means one of the hazards that we have listed that you'll see here in just a second is projected to be at least a good chance of being significant in the Sunday time frame. So we'll go into those hazards. First off, looking at the tornado outlook for your Sunday, we decided to kind of just go basic and broad. It is the equivalent of a low risk for a tornado on Sunday, which is in the brown there, from a 3 to about 9.9% chance, which if you think about it, at the same exact time, it's a 90 to 97% chance that we don't see a tornado. So if you want to flip the numbers around and think about it that way, that's a good way to think about it. And then in the green there, across portions of the M46 corridor up towards the Tri-Cities, that's going to be a 1 to 2.9% chance, which is a limited risk. And then up there in the thunderstorm category, anything in gray, So pretty much north of Big Rapids is less than a 1% chance. The slider on the bottom where the arrow is located shows you that some tornadoes could be significant, but again, we are expecting that significant risk for tornadoes to be south of the state line, as mentioned in the write-up on Facebook. Switching over to what will be one of our main hazards, the primary hazard on Sunday, is our damaging wind risk. This is, again, going to be in the exact same area as the elevated risk as it coincides with each other. That red zone there means it's a 25 to 39% chance of damaging winds occurring, or if you think about it the other way, about a 60 to 75% chance that it doesn't. We also have the hatch zone there, which indicates that a 10% chance of a 75 mile per hour wind gust could happen. But again, 90% chance that it doesn't. Again, same time frame, 1 p.m. Sunday through 1 a.m. Monday, working from west to east across the state. And then we switch over to our hail risk, which is pretty much the exact same thing. The only change is actually that you'll see on these two maps is that the very far northern zone, where it changes, the 1 to 4.9% chance kind of just cuts out for portions of northern lower. That is because less favorable downdraft cape up there, but more favorable for hail. So it's pretty much the exact same thing, 10% chance of 75 mile per hour winds and a 10% chance of also 2-inch diameter hail in that 25 to 39% chance range. In the yellow there, which is a lot of our metropolitan areas across the state, a 15 to 24% chance of damaging winds and damaging hail occurring. Brown 5 to 14, and then in green again 1 to 4.9%. On the slider there, you'll see it does say strong as well, as those hailstones could be between around 1 and 2 inches in diameter. Same with the winds being between 60 and 75 miles per hour at certain times. Storm mode for this, which I will have Ryan go over here in just a second, will be starting the day as somewhat kind of isolated and cellular in nature, supercellular I guess you could say, but they will consolidate into lines is the current thought process as the day goes on. Ryan, I don't know if you want to take it away with some of the models for Sunday, or if you want to go over some of the winter products first, feel free.
I can go ahead and take it away. But people are saying I have an echo. So am I good on your end audio, or what's going on here?
It's because I need to mute myself. So
okay. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and mute yourself, I can go ahead and take it over. Starting with today, obviously, go ahead and take my screen once Joel gets it up there.
It's up. You got to change your source.
Yep, I'm on it. Sorry, I had this done. Apologize. All right, there we go. We should be good now. Perfect. So starting with today, going into that Sunday time period, we're going to look at numerous hours of freezing rain. Starting right now, as Joel just mentioned up there, we have some potential for some large hail up there tonight. Overall severe risk is low, but not zero, again, for large hail in the UP. As we move into the overnight hours tonight, all of that precipitation will move a bit further south across the northern lower. Freezing rain, ice storm potential, all throughout the UP, as well as far northern lower Michigan. Into Saturday, that will change, a little bit of a break there for the morning. But by the time we get to Saturday evening, we have another round that pushes up further north, and we have another round of freezing rain late Saturday into the Sunday morning time frame. Moving into that Sunday time frame, here is where that severe risk comes into play. We're going to keep a close eye to our south and to our west here. Starting around the afternoon time frame, here's noon, here's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5. Here is 6 o'clock. We have storms firing across the southwest corner of Michigan, zooming way in here. Let's go ahead and zoom this forward a few more hours. Here is 7 o'clock. Those storms push on to land. Here is 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and by 11 o'clock or so, this model says they are weakened enough to where they're not a concern anymore. So main hazard, main time frame. Talk about hazards here. We break it down into 4 categories, or not categories, but 4 ingredients: shear, lift, instability, and moisture. Let's go ahead and back this up and start with our wind shear. We're going to see a very highly sheared environment across the southern corner of Michigan. Wind shear is no problem. We have a lot of it with this system. That's also why we are a little bit more concerned for this system. Okay, check it off. Let's go to the moisture content here. Actually, no, let's go to instability. Talk about that first. Here is your instability, and we're going to see right around 1,000 joules of surface-based CAPE, as we call it, That's sufficient for severe weather. Even really anything over 500 is sufficient across southern Michigan here. Other models are saying close to 1,500, perhaps close to 2,000 joules. We're going to watch that very closely. If you get enough or close to that 2,000 range, the threat becomes more concerning. But we have enough instability here, coupled with the wind shear. We get that composite we call supercell composite. We have nice parameters across southern Michigan here. And then also looking at the moisture content, we look to have 60s dew points in the state, which is more than sufficient this time of year for producing severe weather. And a source of lift with that low pressure moving through. All 4 ingredients are checked off with this particular system. So, what are the hazards, as Joel just mentioned? Number 1, wind. Number 2, hail. Number 3, tornadoes. I do think with this system, we do have that potential for an all hazard event, but I do think winds are going to be the primary mode. But if they can stay, storms can stay more isolated in nature, as this model is suggesting, at that point, the tornado concern does go up just a bit. If storms remain isolated, they can produce tornadoes more efficiently. If they go into a line, it kind of makes it a bit harder for them to produce tornadoes. And it's more of a wind threat at that point. We just showed you our forecast, but we also will show you the SPC here. We are in a slight risk for severe weather up to about the Mount Pleasant Tri-Cities area, a marginal up to the Alpena, Manistee. And if you notice off to the south there is an enhanced risk butting close to the Indiana border, Michigan border there. But for right now, SPC does have us in a level 2 risk. And as Joel just mentioned, we also have you guys in our risk as well. So switching over to the ice storm potential through tonight and also round 2 tomorrow. Joel, do you want to talk about that? You want me to talk about that?
I can take my screen back here real quick.
Go ahead.
Scroll down here. So there's a bunch of different models that have a bunch of different things going on. Over the course of today, they haven't really changed much in terms of positioning. The current thought process is it'll still be along that US 2 corridor. So we're going to go over the HRRR real quick first. This is going to be through 10 o'clock this evening. Zooming it forward again, some of those totals might be a little bit egregious there, but it is, again, we're in short range now, so we're within 12 hours. Some of those totals close to 3/4 of an inch possibly. We don't expect, again, those totals to come to fruition, hopefully, but that does raise a little bit of concern for the Straits of Mackinac. And then as we move into our Sunday time frame, that warm front, or I guess you could say stationary front at that point, because it's going to be moving back to the south, will be kind of across the M55 region, which is basically Traverse City, Gaylord, Grayling, over towards Alpena and points south. So you can see a lot of that freezing rain starts to accumulate pretty much north of Clare, north of Big Rapids, for portions of pretty much all of northern lower there. But you really have to go and look at some of our other model runs. I know the Canadian did a pretty good job at this year, and again, some of these totals are very egregious, Ryan. I would assume that 2 inches of ice is not going to happen here, but you can see at least the positioning of things. First round tonight is going to be pretty much across the US 2 corridor, maybe somewhat along M28, and then as we get into the second system on Sunday, a lot of that ice kind of falls across southern UP and here in northern lower. But if you want to blend them all together, which is like 50 different models at the exact same time, you can kind of see where both of those line up. So here's your first round tonight. And this kind of has a better representation of what's actually going to fall around that 0.2 to 0.4 range. And then as we move into the Sunday time frame, picks back up, kind of falls just south of the Straits. So in terms of ice positioning, again, tonight's going to be pretty much all across the UP as we showed you on the radar to start the stream. And then as we get into the Saturday night into Sunday morning time frame, so expect your Sunday morning commutes to be affected there across northern lower. But that's exactly where it's going to be, is southern upper peninsula, which is going to be Menominee County, and then the northern half of the lower peninsula, which is going to be pretty much anywhere north of Clare and Big Rapids, as I previously mentioned. We also have to look at some of the snowfall totals for this event. Again, we're just going to use the NBM model here, which is a blend of all of them. So this first system tonight pretty much lines up with what our snow map was for earlier today, around 2 to 4 inches for the Keweenaw Peninsula. Some of those snow totals could get pretty close to Paradise, Michigan, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, upwards of about 2 inches. Most of that will probably fall as sleet, though, as it is pretty close to that melting line. And then as we move into the Sunday time frame, which could produce a little bit more snow than the first time around, you can see totals there for the snow. That's too far. We're not going into Wednesday yet. But the totals there, another 2, 4, maybe even 6 inches there for portions of the western UP. And then trace closer down into northern lower as that stationary front starts to sag south a little bit. So that's kind of your winter weather sum up in a quick hurry there. Again, that warm front, stationary front is going to kind of sag south over the course of the weekend. But again, severe weather is still possible for the entire Lower Peninsula on Sunday, despite the fact that we'll have that warm front across portions of the M55 corridor, and that is because of what we see out there today on this Friday night is a hail risk while it is also freezing rain. So kind of a copy and paste sort of weather phenomenon over the next 48 hours, but we're here to cover it for you guys, and yeah, that's all I got for the winter weather portion here. Ryan, if you want to take it back over, if you have anything.
Go ahead and take my screen. I want to talk about something.
Okay.
We have a day, this is day 5, I believe, day 5 or 6 severe risk here for Wednesday for portions of southern Michigan. We have another system we are keeping a close eye on for the mid part of next week. It is still too far away to be specific, but the SPC went ahead and did highlight portions south of the I-96 corridor in a slight risk here for severe weather for the upcoming midweek time frame. So watch Wednesday, April 2nd as another potential round of severe weather, perhaps snow, maybe some ice again further north. So we might be doing this again in the middle part of next week.
Sweet. Now that we're at a good break point here, there's a couple super chats and members I have to read off. Go back and see Pam and Dennis Hall back for month number 8 here on YouTube. Thank you for becoming a member for month number 8. Saying good evening and wow, that is a good reaction to this weather pattern this weekend. Definitely. I saw Red Dozer's back here with another $50 super chat, commenting on his day, saying had a huge boom of thunder this afternoon, and a heap big chicken poo ended up quivering in my lap. All 90 pounds. Can't wait for Sunday. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Red Dozer, for your storytelling and the super chat. Appreciate you as always. Red Dozer is one of our longtime members here at MSC. And let me see if there's any more here. I don't know if there is any more. There's not. So that is your super chat update. I guess we'll go into questions now unless we have anything else.
What source online is the best for looking at radar if you aren't here? I always recommend Radar Scope. It's $10, but it will not be beaten by any other product for $10. None of the weather apps will come close to it. That is your best option for a radar.
I agree.
Anyone else in the UP having a thunderstorm? Yeah, there's many people. Am I blurry again? I'm not switch my camera.
Just a little bit
at this point. This is ridiculous. Will it weaken at all coming over the lake Sunday? No, Kendra, and that is going to be because these storms will fire pretty much either in Michigan or close to it. The lake's not going to have too much of an effect on it. Plus, there's a lot of moisture, instability getting streamed up from the Indiana, Ohio area, so we'll have plenty of fuel to fuel these storms. So the lake will play a minimal factor with this setup on Sunday. Yeah, Robert, Radar Omega is also a good app too, although it's more subscription based. So it's, Radar Scope is one time $10 fee. Radar Omega, you got to pay a subscription monthly for it. So. Do you guys foresee the enhanced risk being shifted north into Michigan? I think anything is possible at this point. I wouldn't count it out, but as it stands, I think if I were making the outlook, I'd probably keep it as a slight as of right now. But we also have our own forecast here, so we also give our thoughts based on percentages and stuff like that, just like SPC. So we put our own little twist on things.
Speaking of our own maps, we didn't pull them up in this stream, but again, we do have a limited risk of severe weather tonight for portions of southeast Michigan, which at this point, I don't believe the cap is going to erode enough for severe weather to develop, so that wind and very, very small tornado risk for tonight, pretty much south of Lansing, is likely not to materialize. I'm looking at the radar right now, and you can see a couple blips trying to break through the cap. So we'll have to watch them over the next couple hours, but it does not look like it right now, especially since we're closing in on 8 o'clock and our instability is, whatever instability is out there in the mixed layers and the upper layers is likely to go away. Again, we saw a lot of shear out there today, which would be the only driving factor. But again, it was an uphill battle all day to begin with, so it's likely not going to happen tonight. And then we also have a limited risk for severe, only for hail across portions of pretty much the entirety of the southern UP, as well as portions of Charlevoix, Emmett, Sheboygan, and Presque Isle County, if I recall correctly off the top of my head. And again, that is because some of these showers that you see here are actually convective in nature, so they're elevated. So you have thunderstorms that are 2 miles above the ground in the atmosphere, and then it's hailing through a melting layer and then freezing at the surface. So you have hail and freezing rain pretty much accumulating at the exact same time for some of these storms tonight. So a very unique weather pattern, or I guess you should say weather pattern for tonight, especially across the UP. I haven't seen this in a long time, but here we are. So the time frame for this system overnight tonight is going to be from right now, obviously, through about noon tomorrow. We'll have a little bit of a lull in the afternoon, and then it'll pick back up pretty much after 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And then the severe risk is obviously going to come into play on Sunday, which is going to be after 1 o'clock, which we put on our graphics. So if you want to go check out those graphics, again, those are going to be on the Facebook page currently. Once we're done with our stream here, I'll go post them on X as well, and potentially Instagram, so you guys can see it in multiple places. And because we are coming into severe weather season, we do have a Discord channel with a storm anxiety chat room in it. So if you'd like to join that, I know the Discord moderators will probably drop the link in chat real quick, but it is there for you guys to join. Don't have to, obviously, but it's an option for you guys as we get into severe weather season. Bernadette becoming a member here on YouTube, EF0 member. Thank you, Bernadette. Welcome to the team. Hope to see you around more often here.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Compare and contrast the two outlooks, I guess you could say, real quick. So this is going to be SBC's outlook, so marginal risk, slight risk, versus ours. We have obviously different terminologies, but limited, low, medium, and a little bit of an elevated risk. So if you compare it to the scale that the SBC does, an elevated risk would kind of be their equivalent of an enhanced risk. But obviously, we are not the SBC, and this is not a product of the SBC.
Bill, we have a question if we can redo the threat maps and timing for Sunday.
Yeah, that should be fine. So just go over what the maps that I made essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. I will do that. I will actually read off this super chat here real quick, or becoming a member. Little Redhead, an EF5 level member here on YouTube. Thank you, Little Redhead, for your generous support. We hope to see you back here often here. And thank you very much
for that.
All right, I will take my camera back here. So it means I'm going to have to go and take the warning ticker off again. So we'll do that. And go back to me. All right, so again, this is going to be your general severe weather outlook. So this covers all the hazards. So, for example, if a limited risk is issued for your area, just for an example, that means either you're expected to see some sort of low-end severe hail, severe winds, or tornado risk. In this case, with this system this weekend, it's going to be an all-hazard risk. So just know that limited, low, medium, elevated, that goes from lowest to highest from north to south. Elevated being the highest there at level 4. Timing on your screen shows between Sunday at 1 p.m. and Monday just after midnight. Peak of those storms is going to be probably around that 4 to, I would have to say, 8 to 9 o'clock time frame. But again, just expect the entire Sunday afternoon period to be unstable out there. I know I did look at the SBC, Ryan. They did mention that there could be some ongoing convection that would be rooted at the low levels early in the morning with some of that grungy stuff that we saw on the radar that would move through in the morning. So there could be a very, very low severe risk in the morning, but again, it's going to be very grungy out there, so I wouldn't expect too much. Again, most of this is going to be after 1 p.m. Going into the hazards, it pretty much lines up with the main outlook, north to south. 3 to 9.9% chance of a tornado, or if you think about it the other way, a 90 to 97% chance of a tornado not happening. And anywhere you see in brown, so that covers all 3 of our major cities, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Detroit, as well as everything that, all those cities you see there with the yellow diamonds on them. And then as you go north, so near Stanton, here in Mount Pleasant, Tri-Cities, it's going to be a 1 to 3% chance, less than 1% chance, pretty much north of US 10. We get into the severe wind outlook, and this is where the higher colors come into play, as well as that significant black hatched area down there by the border. Reading it from north to south, less than 1% chance up there by the Straits of Mackinac. Again, we're not expecting too much in terms of damaging winds up there, but if a elevated storm does get going, you never know. 1 to 4.9% chance for pretty much all of northern lower, as well as portions of central Michigan. 5 to 14% chance of damaging winds between Muskegon over to the Thumb. And then, again, all of our major cities, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Detroit, surrounding areas, 15 to 24% chance of damaging winds. And then down there in the red, that's going to be a 25 to 40% chance of damaging winds. So almost a 50% chance, but not there yet, with a hatched area for 10% chance of 75 mile per hour winds. And then one more time for the severe hail outlook. Again, severe hail, severe winds are our primary threats. They're pretty much going to be threat 1A and threat 1B, I would have to say. And then tornado threat's going to be threat number 2. So pretty much the exact same thing there. You see 1 to 4.9% chance, 5 to 14% chance across the Muskegon to Thumb region, 15 to 24 for Grand Rapids down to Detroit, and then down there by the border. So Barry and Cass, St. Joseph, Branch, Hillsdale, Lenawee, and portions of Monroe County. If you know you live in any of those counties, we have you in an elevated risk for damaging winds and damaging hail on your Sunday afternoon. So there's that hatched area there that says also 10% chance for 2-inch hail. So keep in mind any severe winds and severe hail do have the threat to be significant in nature on Sunday. So keep that in the back of your head. But again, those risks, if you think about it the other way, it's a 60 to 75% chance that doesn't happen and a 90% chance that 2-inch hail doesn't happen. So I like to think about it as glass half full or glass half empty. We get it. So that is your quick recap of our severe maps. And again, all those severe maps can be found on our Facebook page, Michigan Storm Chasers. We are closing in on 310,000 followers there, so feel free to follow us. And 100% of our posts are always posted on Facebook, so you'll never be out of the loop, I guess you could say, when it comes to our posting.
Absolutely. Go ahead and take my screen back, Joel. I want to go over some timing for Sunday, just on future radar. So this is your radar starting Sunday early morning time frame. We're going to have some grungy type of showers, as the word Joel just used. Further north could have some mixed precip there, some freezing rain, some sleet, maybe even some snow in the UP. Further south, though, it'll be way too warm for any of that. But as that lifts northward, keep an eye on the afternoon time frame. We're going to bring into sunrise here. Here's sunrise about 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. We're going to move on into the late morning hours. We have a couple of showers there across the northern central part of Michigan there at 10. Here's 11 a.m. Here's noon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 p.m. We're going to turn our attention around that late afternoon time frame to the south and west across portions of Indiana, Illinois. Storms will develop and they'll push our way right around that late afternoon time frame. This model says 6 o'clock. It could be 4 o'clock, could be 5 o'clock. Main concern there centered around mid to late afternoon into the evening hours. So here's 6 o'clock on the model, 7 o'clock, here's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 p.m., 11, and by about midnight or so, storms are pretty much out of the state or about to be out of the state completely. The NAM model is the model you're looking at the screen here. It does have a tendency to kind of be an hour or two late on its forecast projections at this range, so I wouldn't be shocked if the afternoon storms begin, 4 o'clock, perhaps even 3 if we're, going early. But generally speaking, the main concern for the risks are centered around that mid to late afternoon into the evening timeframes. Also, just want to talk about one thing real quickly here on Sunday, and that is our temperature gradient. So further north there, if you're up basically north of Mount Pleasant, you're going to be in the 40s and 30s. But if you're south there, check out how warm it's going to get. We're going to be likely in the upper 60s, maybe even touch 70 across portions of Michigan there. So it's going to be a very, very sharp cutoff, 60s, 70s, and then 30s, almost a 40-degree difference in the state. And as you notice on your screen there, it's a very sharp gradient there for our temperatures during the afternoon on Sunday. So that is your warm front, and that's also going to cause more moist air to be brought up. And that's what's going to fuel these storms. So. For those just tuning in, there's also a risk out already from the SPC for the middle of next week, April 2nd, which is Wednesday. We're not going to get specific with this at this range, but do keep in mind another severe episode, perhaps another ice or snow round up in the further north in the UP, perhaps northern lower, may be a possibility with this system. Let's just focus on the next 3 days here. We have ice storm warnings, we have severe weather, we have basically every type of weather that can get being thrown at us here in Michigan. We're not strangers to that. But let's take it one day at a time here, and let's focus on the middle part next week once we get through this weekend. All right?
It was nice because I think was it Wednesday morning, we had no alerts in the state, and now our bottom warning bar down there is just lit up with 4 different types of warnings or whatever. We actually have winter storm watches in effect for round 2 already that are underneath these current warnings.
Yep. It's crazy.
I did turn your mic up on my end, Ryan, so hopefully they can hear you a little bit better.
Okay. Like I'm literally a half away from my mic. I can't really get much closer than that. And the volume on it's all the way turned up on my computer, on the device, on our audio side, on my side. So I don't know what could be wrong with it.
You sound good on my end, though.
Yeah, that's at least promising. For tonight, let's go ahead and talk about what to expect tonight, okay? Back this up into the precip type, all the way back at square one here, and current time is 7 o'clock. So up there in the UP, ice storm warnings in effect currently. All that rain and mess of purple and yellow and green and even blue is going to be wintry precip. Ongoing into the overnight hours into the early morning hours of Saturday. Notice here, this is midnight tonight. It's beginning to move out. We got some lingering freezing rain across the area. It kind of fills back in for the early morning hours for portions. As we move into sunrise tomorrow morning, we're seeing that kind of shift south. The UP dries out. We're going to be fairly dry for the UP on Saturday. Some light spotty freezing drizzle, freezing rain there for northern lower through the afternoon on Saturday. Then round 2 begins Saturday night. Notice in the UP, we have that rain, freezing rain, snow beginning to pick back up there. And then that's also the time frame we're going to start watching for that severe event for Sunday afternoon, start to take shape with that warm front lifting north. But do keep in mind 2 rounds of freezing rain there for the UP is a likelihood. With impacts, so ice storms with expectation of right around 2/10 to 4/10, if not a little bit higher in some places, of ice accretion. That is enough to take down power lines, take down tree limbs, cause travel to become near impossible, if not impossible, among other things. So it is important that you guys are being extra cautious up in the UP with both ice events. And also, if you're living in southern Michigan, really no concern other than rain, and then also potential for severe weather across basically points south of Mount Pleasant for Sunday. That is going to be really the only thing to be concerned about further south. Back to the comment sections. So Detroit Metro is going to have a tornadic risk on Sunday. It is a possibility. Nothing's ever guaranteed with weather and severe weather, especially. But there is enough wind shear. There's enough moisture. There's enough instability. There's enough wind. I already said that. There's enough lift. That's the only thing I was mentioning. Forgot. We have enough ingredients to support the potential for a couple tornadoes across the state. That can change, though. We're still 2 days away. We can see an uptrend, a downtrend. We could see a lot of things happen between now and Sunday. But yes, as of right now, we do think there'd be enough wind shear, instability, and moisture with enough lift to sustain storms and also to produce tornadoes, as well as damaging winds and large hail.
This is our tornado risk for our personal tornado risk for Sunday. I know the bottom bar is in the way, but you can get everything south of that bottom bar right now is 3 to 9.9% chance. There's no 10 to 19% chance on our graphic yet. We'll have to see what tomorrow brings or overnight model runs bring in terms of what they're looking at for our Sunday time frame. So 3 to 9.9, and then in green there 1 to 2.9.
Any other questions, guys? What are the dew points for Sunday? Low to mid 60s is the expectation. With spring and especially late fall, we can get severe weather in the mid to upper 50s. So when we see low 60s or mid 60s, that is plenty of moisture with these systems to produce severe weather. It's not until summertime we really start getting to the 70 dew points. That's your hot and muggy type of situation. So 60s will do here in spring. Yeah, it's also very important. There's a with severe season coming up. We've had a couple of low end risks over the past couple of days, including tonight, even up in the UP. Some hail could be a concern up there. Sunday, as of right now, appears to be our first real, I guess you can say, real big chance for some severe weather here. So, with that, it's always good to make sure you have your plans in place. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive warnings via weather apps, via the weather radio, EAS alerts on your phone. We'll put some posts out on our page that kind of explains that a little bit better, but it's always important as we get to severe season, you guys have your plans, your devices, everything ready to go for severe season. And I've been seeing a meme go around social media across meteorologists and weather pages. Don't sleep naked. That's honestly very good advice when there's severe weather. Don't sleep naked. It's humorous, but it's also not bad advice. PW values, Cyndaquil. That's a advanced question, Cyndaquil. PW values on soundings that I've seen are right around the low ones. So it's not bad. Not bad at all.
Don't sleep naked, as in don't go to bed without a way to receive warning, right?
Don't go to bed naked, wake up in the middle of a tornado warning with a tornado hitting your house. It destroys your house, and you're caught being naked with no clothes. So
Or
that's
that.
it's a joke, really, but it's also not bad advice during severe weather.
I thought it was like an acronym for
It can be
don't.
used for both. It
Got
can
it.
be used for both. Can we see a precip amount map? I can pull that up for you guys. I trust the European for that, though. I'll switch over here. No, perfect. Already there. So through Monday morning, this is your total precip that's going to fall. If you notice, there's about an inch or two up here across the UP and northern lower. That's going to fall as a mix of ice, rain, sleet, all sorts of precip up there. Further south, where it's mostly rain, we're going to see anywhere from about a half inch to an inch between now and Monday morning. A lot of you guys here are in over a half inch easily. In some places, close to an inch, maybe just over an inch across the southern portion of Michigan there. So that should answer your question there, Cyndaquil. Or whoever asked that. I think it was Cyndaquil. Yeah.
I will clarify what our map means here real quick, because I see there's a little bit of confusion. So in the SPC maps that we show you guys, they don't have it usually displayed for the percentages. They just have 1% displayed. So like, for example, if a slight risk is issued, that usually means I think 15% chance of damaging winds. What they don't show you is that that covers anywhere from 15 to 29%. So that was our thought process when we made these maps, is that we're going to show you every percentage in between instead of just listing, for example, in our brown category, which is our low end tornado risk, a 3% chance. So putting just 3% out there when in reality covers 3 to 9.9% is a lot better than just showing 3%. So I'm going to take my screen back here. So you can see on the left side of the screen, I have to turn off the warning banner again, is every percentage that it goes through. So for example, the green category is a 1% risk, but because there's level 2 is a 3%, it has the level 1 risk has to cover between 1 and 2.9%. So at level 2 you have a 3% risk, but because level 3 is a 10%, level 2 has to cover 3 to 9.9% chance. So, and again, if you think about the opposite way around, it's a very minuscule thing that's going to happen. So it's a 90% to 97% chance that it actually won't happen. So if you're, for example, dealing with any weather anxiety, you can think about it that way. That's what I would do. And then obviously the higher you get, we won't have any of these risks hopefully this year, but 10 to 19 or 10% covers 10 to 19, 20% covers 20 to 34, purple covers 35 to 49, and then in whatever instance we have was an extreme risk day, that'd be anything 50 and above. So hopefully that clears up some questions about that. Again, it's a 3% risk, but because there's nothing between 3 and 10, it covers 3 up to 10. But it is a level 2 risk, so it's on the lower end of things. Actually, I think Ryan, on their SBC maps, the better looking ones, I think they actually show the ranges.
I'll take my screen off. I can go search for it.
My link doesn't work anymore. This is January 2nd. So we'll have to use yours when you're ready. And you're also blurry.
I'm not even going to worry about that right now, honestly. They don't have the percentages out because it is a day 3 outlook yet.
That's right.
Any chance the severe weather stays to the south of the state as originally thought? Right now, not really. We'd have to see a big change for that to occur. It's not impossible, but at this point, models are pretty agreement. They're pretty congruent on what's going to happen. I need to learn how to speak English.
Don't we all?
But there's a lot of agreement between models that shows the threat in Michigan. So I doubt it will be shifting south of the state. Am I still blurry? Yay. You should still be able to hear me, but I'm going to pop my camera off.
Okay.
I'm still here, though.
Yeah, I still hear you.
Is there going to be a break between the storms on Saturday afternoon? The answer is yes, exception of northern lower. We may see some precip continue from like Gaylord areas, Alpena, Traverse City. Those general areas may still be getting some spotty precip during between these systems.
You're full John Cena right now.
Yeah. We'll just nickname myself John. We'll call it good.
Yes, the entire lower peninsula is in a severe risk for Sunday. So keep that in mind. If you know you live in the lower peninsula, that is you. At least on our maps, we have it. I can't English either, Ryan. If you're looking at the map in regards to the SBC, they don't have northern lower in the severe risk, but we have it in a limited risk due to some elevated hail.
I'm going to pop out of here pretty soon. I don't know if I want to wrap it up or not, but I'm going to have to skedaddle.
I got you. I found our overview panel for the next couple days here. This is your severe risks throughout the next 8 days in the United States at a broad glance. We have day 1. Wow, day 1. This is from the SBC. This isn't our forecast maps, but you can see marginal risk up there towards the UP for that hail tonight. You go over to day 2. This is Saturday, so we can expect some thunderstorms throughout the day tomorrow, but nothing in terms of severity. We didn't have to release a map for that. Obviously, you get into your day 3 timeline here, and that slight risk pretty much encompasses all of southern Michigan. Enhanced risk, we have a lot of spring breakers coming back from vacation, so you want to let them know if they travel up like 75, 65 there, across portions of the Mississippi River Valley, Ohio River Valley. That enhanced risk covers them. And then we get into day 4. That severe risk also encompasses the people coming back from spring break, perhaps a little bit like a day late. That covers all of the Carolinas, pretty much the entirety of the East Coast. That is equivalent to a slight risk, as well as portions of Florida, Gulf Coast region. And then you get to Tuesday. Potential's too low there, but then we again look into Wednesday. We're already in a equivalent to a slight risk for portions of southern Michigan. And then obviously predictability is too low for Thursday, Friday, but we do have a somewhat active pattern to start April. Obviously, it's way too far out to talk about any days beyond Wednesday, and really beyond Sunday at this point. But yeah, something to look forward to over the next 2 weeks, I guess you could say. But we are going to wrap up this stream. I'm going to go back and double check to see if I missed any super chats. I don't believe I did. If I did, I'm very sorry. I don't believe I have. So we will go ahead and pop off for the night. We do have to be on standby for any severe weather coverage, which could be for that hail risk up there in the UP. I'm looking at the radar right now, and it looks like it could start putting down some hailstones here soon for portions of Dickinson and Menominee counties especially. So we're going to hop out of here for the night. Hail risk. How large is elevated hail? It could be anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches. It depends on what day you're talking about. If it's tonight, really not anything greater than 1 inch, but on Sunday, it would be about 1 inch to 2 inches. We will most likely have storm chasers out, including Ryan himself, perhaps on Sunday. We'll see what we're doing then. I'll be on the stream operations, so we'll have chasers out for sure on Sunday. Tornado outbreak possible, not likely, at least in Michigan. Don't have to worry about using that word anytime soon. So, other than that, we are going to pop out for the night. I don't know if Ryan's still here, if he wants to say goodbye. No? Alright. I will take him off of the screen here, and I will wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing the stream, whatever you want, or whatever you did throughout this 45 minutes together, 50 minutes together. We will be back probably not tomorrow night for another briefing, our third straight day of severe weather briefings, again, as this weekend of wacky winter weather moves on here in the state of Michigan. So, again, feel free to follow us on all the social media platforms. Those are listed in our link tree. And we will catch you next time here at Michigan Storm Chasers. I am Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma, signing out for the night. Hope you have a good one out there. I forgot sponsors, didn't I? We're not done yet. Just kidding. Sponsors. Let me go over to them really quick. Our spotlight sponsor of the night was Lifestyle Exteriors. Again, you saw their logo on our post all day today, based out of Lansing and Traverse City. Can't do it without these guys. If you need any roofing construction needs, feel free to give them a call at that number on your screen. And then rolling through our other sponsors that we have here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Again, we can't do it without them, so feel free to give them your business if you are ever in need. Got McKay Tree Specialists, Kuiper Tree Care, Katz Roofing and Siding, Gold Lake Tree Pro out of Gold Lake. We have FBI Buildings, Henkel's Tree Service, On the Top Roofing, which is also our Patreon sponsor of the year. We can't do it without our sky cams that we use all the time here at Michigan Storm Chasers, and that is thanks to Guardian Technologies. And last but not least, Floor Coverings International of Michiana. Again, all those numbers. If you pause the stream, go back and want any of their business, you can feel free to pause the stream and do just that. And yeah, we thank our sponsors very much. Again, we can't do it here without them at Michigan Storm Chasers. What we do is not free. So feel free to give them your business and let them know that Michigan Storm Chasers sent you. With that being said, this is Joel Fritzma officially signing out for the night. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you guys all so much for watching tonight, and we'll catch you next time.